good, Smiley.
Okay, if you don't know, my name is Dot Galfond, and I am a glass artist, fused glass artist. Kiln formed glass is what we call it as well. And I'm going to pretty much talk about my glass like I do at our open studio tour, except I'm not in my studio, and you can't see my kilns and all my equipment. So fused glass has been around forever. The Greeks did it, and it's come back into popularity probably like 25 or 30 years ago, but into where people do it in their home or studios, really, probably about 25 or 30, probably 25 years ago, and that's when I got into it. I had done stained glass for a long time and loved it, but it gets a little repetitive for me. You know, you cut the glass, you foil it, you put it together, you say. So when fused glass became popular, I just jumped on that. It was so much more challenging and technically, there's a lot of math in it. That was one thing I didn't like about it. But so I brought this to show you. This was a picture from the open studio tour, and that's my biggest kiln. So it's called a coffin kiln for a good reason. It's taken at an angle, so you can't really see how big it is, but it's almost 5 feet. It's a little smaller than this table, which is 6 feet. So, and that's made out of fiberboard, which is it really holds the heat in well. It's a great insulator, and it's made specifically for glass, as opposed to the kilns that are made for ceramics, which are usually round. We do have some, and this is another big kiln that I have in back there.
Okay.
It's fiber as well. And you see that kiln there that I'm pulling. This one here is a specialty kiln. I have 5 kilns altogether. And this one here is called a vitrograph kiln. And this is me doing a demonstration at the open studio of pulling hot glass that's about 1500 degrees out from above my head out of this kiln to make, which I'll show you in a minute, to make glass rods, or murini it's called. So anyway, so there's lots of different kinds of glass I use in what I do. It's all made to be fused, and I buy it from a wholesale place that makes it. It's fusible glass, and it comes in all different kinds of, all different forms. It comes in big sheets, which I get, that are 48 by 48. I get it in big crates, and then I cut it down to whatever size I need. Usually, I had it in here, but these are 12 by 24 inch sheets, which I use a lot. I cut it down into manageable sheets depending on what I need. And there is opaque glass like this that I use. Oh, yeah.
Is it the same thing that they use stained glass?
No, you can use this for stained glass.
Right.
It's more expensive, so it wouldn't behoove you to do that. And it's a little bit softer. Yeah, it would scratch a little. Yeah, it would scratch a little. Not much, but it's a little softer. But yeah, this is made especially for the kiln and to fuse together, because you have to use the same stained glass. You can use any glass you want. Any glass you want. Fusible glass, you have to use the same kind of glass with the same kind of glass. It has to be. I could not take this glass and glass that I found on the street and fuse them together. Okay, because they would crack. They're not compatible with each other. It has to be compatible glass. Okay. Now, and it comes in. All right, so it comes in sheets like this, which is how I buy it wholesale. Okay. And then it comes in so many different forms. It comes in powder. This is like talcum powder, okay? And these pieces, and I've shown these are actually completely made of powdered glass. All right? And then this I'm gonna have in the next show. I've got some pieces up here that are made out of long strips that I cut out of glass, and then I shape them in my kiln. And this was in the kiln for 2 firings, about 4 days, just firing, not cutting and making it. But this is all sheet glass that I've cut And then, now this is what, this powdered glass is considered frit, which is crushed glass, but it's ground down to powder. This is frit too. This is coarse frit. And this is it in here. Same thing, I've got it in orange. This is what it looks like. It's just, you can't.
What color is the frit, the powder?
That's the other thing that's interesting, is it looks almost white in here, doesn't it? But this is the color that it turns out when you fire it. That's why I make a little sample and put it, yeah, it's amazing the difference it changes in color when you fire it. So you can look at this, not so much, because you can see it looks pretty much the same, but the powdered frit changes incredibly when you fire it. So, now the,
Can I ask another question?
Sure.
That piece you just held up, is that cut? You cut each one of those
these
skinny
strips, I'm
little?
gonna show you how
Oh,
I cut
okay.
those in just a minute.
Okay.
Yeah. Well, I can show that now. It really doesn't matter, because I was just showing types of glass. That's what everybody really likes to see, is the cutting. This is practice glass. This is plain old window glass like you see up there. Because the fusing glass is expensive, when I'm demonstrating, I usually just use window glass. And if I'm showing, like I was showing Barbara, she's cutting some glass, she's cutting some window glass for picture frames, I was showing her, this I grind around the edges, because window glass is so incredibly sharp, and much sharper than even what I use. So this is the coolest thing. My oldest son made this for me, because I do a lot of strips like this. And I can sit here with the ruler that I put so it doesn't slide, and I can sit here and I can cut and cut and cut and cut. This makes it so much easier. I'll show you how it works, which I love. I'm at a loss for much more space, but before I cut it, let me show you the things you cut glass with and the tools I use. This is one kind of glass cutter, and this is called a pistol grip. And there's all different kinds of ends you can use. This is really good for beginners, and it keeps your shoulder in the right position, your hand in the right position. That's a great one. The one I use is not here. This is the one I use, and I've had this forever, and this one rests on my palm, and I use it with my finger like this. It's just what I've gotten used to, and it's easy for me to handle, and I can see well with what I'm doing in front of me. But it's a real misnomer that you cut glass, because you don't, you break it. And all you do when you run this across the top of the glass is you're just breaking the surface tension of the glass. And you're just putting a little teeny mark in it, and then you literally break it in half, is what you do. So, and the way you break it is with these pliers after you make the score on it. And these, I don't know if you can see, they're a little rounded on the top and flat on the bottom. Can you see that? You can pass them around if you want. And that's how, these show a better example of that. Do you see how these are round? It's the same type of plier, but these are for much thicker glass, where they're rounded on the bottom. Oh, no, I've got them upside down, don't I? Yeah. And what they do is they do this to the glass. They do this, they snap it in half. And these are ones that you can change the fulcrum on them. So you can cut glass in a circle easier. So this part changes, and then there's a little point in there that you put right on the score line. So if you're trying to get in and cut a curve or whatever, it gives you a little more leverage in there. All right, so, but this thing I love. I use this so often. It's got a ruler down here, and obviously you can see this is the cut line. This right here is the same as this. So if I want to cut, which is what these are, 1-inch strips, I just line this up here and run that. Now you hear that sound? It's a very easy. You don't push hard, and you just run that down like that. And I can see the marks, but it's just very easy little, and And then, somebody has my pliers, or did I get them back? Ah, okay. And then you wanna break the glass soon after you score it, because the score lines will actually heal. Alright, see, and then it's as easy as that, just, and you wanna hold the pliers near the bag, and you just, and this glass is not quite as easy to work with as the fusing glass. So I get these these pieces like this, and then I do it by hand. Then I take my my cutter, and you hear that, just that little sound, and it doesn't, sometimes people have a tendency when they learn how to cut glass, I know, Barbara, and it's just such a gentle motion.
Ta-da!
And that's what I use to make these. It really is. It's so much fun. I love doing these because I can just do these and not think. But I have a really big one of these at home too. A long one that I can cut my big sheets, like my 48 by 48 pieces. And then what I do is when I cut a great big one, instead of using the pliers, I bring it over to the edge of the board and just snap, and it breaks off, which is much easier to do.
Did your son invent that?
No, it's you can buy them commercially,
Okay.
but they're like ridiculous expensive, and he's pretty good at engineering things.
That's awesome.
So yeah, I know, he built my other one too, so yeah, it's great. And this is a circle cutter. People ask, how do you do circles? Well, this you can adjust this here, and this, I'm not gonna do one right now, but this snaps onto the glass to hold it in the center. And then you run this around in a circle. And it does the exact same thing. This has got the same head on it that my cutter does here. So, now a lot of people use, I was talking to Barbara about this too, put oil in these, or oil in here. Which is why it has, one of the reasons it has this, the other reason is to stop it, to try and break it. I don't use oil in my cutter, I never have. Some people have a little thing of oil and they dip it in. They think it makes the cutting easier. A lot of people do that. You have to have the glass so clean before you put it in the kiln that anything on it messes it up, anything. I take alcohol, and I rub it down, just plain alcohol, and when I'm not drinking it, I'm just saying. So, but the glass has to be squeaky clean. There can't be fingerprints on it, there can't be anything on it, or it leaves a mark when it fires. So, it's just one more step to clean all that crud off the glass, because the oil really makes a mess on it. So I don't put anything on it, and I don't notice any difference in cutting with it or without it. Once you learn how to cut glass and cut it well, it's just another step you have to do. So, anyway, the next thing is, like I said, is shaping the glass. And like, this has a shape. This is flat. This has a shape. The way I shaped this piece was, it came out totally flat. Then, there's lots of different things you can use to shape it. Metal molds, like this is actually it's 2 martini shapers. Imagine that I had those. Okay, and then I took this and I put it on top of this, and I put it in the kiln. And what I got, after you have to watch it, and you have to, I have a set schedule. What came out of the kiln was that.
And what do you call that process?
Slumping or draping.
Wow.
It's like they say when it goes like this, it's draping. When it goes down into like a bowl, it's slumping, but it's all the same process.
That was the same cut as this, the same everything?
Yeah, basically it's the same. And the reason I have this around it is because sometimes if I want it to be a tighter, like see how this is pretty tight, if it gets too tight, then I need some cushioning here so it doesn't get so tight I can't get it off. So that's just stainless steel wire, and this is fiber paper that gives it a little more cushioning. But yeah, if I took this and went home took this and put it in my kiln, I have to watch it. It gets to a certain temperature and I have to watch it and it will drape down around here.
Would you get, my questioning is, would you get the same, like, these are very elongated and not very many, whereas you've got.
No, this would
bunches
be a
of these.
totally different,
Okay,
yes, I see what
that's
you're
right.
saying, yeah, it all
Okay.
depends on how I
Got
make
it.
it. Like, I've done these with real long fingers,
Okay.
and you get a different
Okay.
shape, yeah, this one would be
Thanks.
totally different,
Okay.
yeah. And that's what's, this one, and I've got something to show you in regard to this. Obviously, you have to use things in the kiln that aren't flammable, but there's a lot of really fun things that you can use in there. Stainless steel is one. I have some huge stainless steel molds, you know, that'll go, like, I've got some that are, you know, 40 inches long and 20 inches wide that are big waves and things like that. This, I wanted a slight curve to it, and I wanted this. And what I use for this is sidewalk chalk. Chalk won't burn in the kiln. It's I forget what's in it, but a lot of time you can't use it again. But so I took sidewalk chalk and the big ones, and I rolled them in this kind of paper. Not this, it's the same idea, but it's paper. And I rolled them in the paper, and I lined them all up together, and I rolled them up like hot dogs, and I lined them under here. And then I just put like one piece under here, and this was sitting, you can see it in this picture, it's sitting up on top of that in the kiln, like this. And then I fire it, and it slumps down over that, and gives me that look. But I have to watch it to see, you know, but every firing, you do the hottest firing first, because you don't want to undo what you've done. So the first firing was, how hot did I do that? The first firing was 1,350 degrees for this. And the second firing was 1,200.
Okay, and why a second firing?
The second firing to give it its shape.
Oh, the first firing was just to fuse it together.
Right,
And the second was to, got it.
right. Whereas these take 3 or 4 firings. This
Okay.
take 3 or 4.
Now, when you say you have to watch it, can you look through the kiln?
No,
or-
open it
So
up.
you have to open it up and then start over?
Right.
Because
Yeah, no, well, you just peek in,
Oh,
you
okay.
know, I just peek in.
Do
you
you
don't
have
use
to-
that much heat?
Do you have to wait for things to cool off before you can do like the second firing, for instance?
Oh yeah, like this piece took 4 days in the kiln. That's not putting it together, cutting all the glass, all of that. That's a 4-day piece in the kiln, because they have to heat up so slowly and cool down so slowly. And the thicker they are, the longer they have to what's called anneal, which is hold at the same temperature for a long period of time. So all the glass gets to the same temperature, and it has to hold there. So it all can just sit there and what's the word I'm looking for?
Bond?
And yeah, well, not just bond, but it just alleviates any tension that's in the glass. And
Stress relief.
yeah, any stress, that's the word I'm looking for, yeah. It alleviates any stress in the glass, so it's not going to crack. And so like this one has to sit, because it's thick, and it needs to sit for like 4 hours at 950 degrees. And then it has to cool down very slowly. So the whole process, when I put that in the kiln, is like 20 hours to, you know, to heat up and cool down. So you can't open it until it's room temperature in the kiln, so.
Is that electric or gas?
Electric. But they don't, you know, everybody says, oh my gosh, that must cost a fortune. It really doesn't, because it's not constant. The heat is, you know, it heats like up and down. It clicks on and off and on and off. And I have mercury relays on my kiln now, and which are really good. But and I have a backup generator for them. So I'm sorry, I have solid state relays on them now. And they're very efficient. So I mean, it pulls electric, but not like you would think. And I have this really cool program that one of my kids made for me too, that tells me, you know, every piece has a different, like this was a much better, much different firing schedule, like, you know, 200 degrees to 400 degrees, and then hold for 30 minutes, and everything has a different, like, recipe. This one was much different than this one. And so I need to check them at certain times, and that's what this is, which is a really cool Excel program. Yeah.
Spreadsheets are one.
Oh my gosh, I don't know, and I take like really anal notes, so that I can really take great notes on.
So
too.
did you have a mold for that one first?
This
to
one?
get the- Yeah.
No, this is all freehand. This is all freehand and
So
and
you were
powder.
pouring the powder and you left all those,
No, I made all those holes in it.
oh, so you poured the powder and then you,
Yeah, what that is you sift powder all over,
right.
and then you make marks in the powder, and because of the surface tension, when it heats, it pulls away. Because glass wants to be, when you fire glass in a kiln, that's why you fuse two pieces of glass together instead of just one. If I put this in the kiln and fired it all the way up to full fuse, which is about 1450 degrees, it would, the edges would come in, it would like what's called dog bone, okay? But if I put two pieces of glass together and fired them up to 450 degrees, you get this. This is two pieces of glass fused together. All right, they don't dog bone in at the side because glass wants to be 6 millimeters when you fuse it all the way. Okay, so that's 6 millimeters thick. This is 3 millimeters, or a little less than 3. And when you do that, when you do 6 millimeters, it won't dog bone in. This was a layer of powder. So what happens when I make these marks in it, it does that same thing. The surface tension pulls these away and makes these holes in it. So then when this comes out, I sandblast it because it's got schmutz all over it, and I turn it over. This is what comes out the first time. Okay?
Yeah.
And this is the bottom, but it's all schmutzy. So I take it and I sandblast it. I put it back in, I put another layer of powder on it. I put it back in, and I fuse it again. And then I get even bigger holes, and I get the outline of whatever color I put down first. Which is the same process. Yes, and if that gets online, I'm giving away big secrets here. That's the same process as this. So this was my first color, the deeper pink.
Yeah.
The second color, or third, I have some up here too. So that's why these take, that's 2 firings, and then to get the shape is another firing. So these are really time intensive, and that's why people are like, wow, that's expensive. It's like, that took a lot of work, you know, so, yeah.
That's gorgeous.
But yeah, I love this technique, and I love these pieces. I do so many different, because, you know, you have some people that all they do is this, or all they do is strip pieces, but I like, oh, I wanna do that, I wanna do this, you know. And this is, if I'm boring you, let me know, but this is something else I really like to do, which that's called murini. And that was when you saw me pulling out of that kiln above my head. That's what this is. And that's another thing, it's really cool that no, that's, okay. These are what I've pulled out of the kiln. You get molten, you put a stack of glass, about 40 sheets of glass. And depending on how you stack them, the colors that you use and the way you stack them, Bobby's seen me do this before at a demo, you can create a pattern in what you pull out of that kiln. All right, you wait like a couple hours, it heats up, it's molten glass, you reach up, I mean, I'm simplifying it, but you reach up and you start pulling it out, and the more you do it, the better you get, and you can pull these nice straight rods out of glass. This one I did, it was a really neat thing, because when I was pulling this one out, I was twisting it as I pulled it to get this. This one has a little, you can feel little Sharpies on it. But, these other ones, if you look down them like this, you can see the pattern because of the way I layered the glass in them. And I use them, I make some things totally out of Murini, but it's very expensive. And because it takes so much work,
Yeah.
so I usually use them as accent pieces. But I chop them up, or I have my intern chop them up. And that's how that becomes that. And I can do lots of different things with the Murini.
That looks almost like lace.
Yeah, I call them coral, but, so this is, and this is,
That's beautiful.
this is what they try, and like when the way I got this effect is I put all these pieces together,
Cool.
and
Kind of like Mille-Flore.
that's exactly what it is. That's
Okay.
exactly, except
Okay.
Mille-Flore is usually blown glass.
Okay.
You can do, this is how fusers make Mille-Flore,
Okay.
because we can't blow it.
Okay.
So this is how we do it. And this is what I do with them, and I use these for all different things. One of the things I use them for, you'll see these are on, I make swizzle sticks I used to make them for gifts I made them for myself first. And then I started giving them like for hostess gifts and things. And the ends of the swizzle sticks, I took the Murini and fused them upright, full fused them. And they made these cool little, I call them dots. And pick one out and take it home. But that's what those turned into. And so, but so many of the things, like I said, I started making them for myself. You know, the little things. So.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Oh, aren't those pretty?
I just started, like I said, I did one or two for myself.
Oh, I love them.
And then I started doing them as like hostess gifts, you know? And so when we opened the boutique, I was like, wow.
Heck yeah.
So,
Pass them around, Lynn.
oh.
Could you pass them around,
Oh,
please?
sorry.
That's okay.
No, I'm gonna hug them.
But there's so many different kinds, there's so many, like I said, I feel like I don't have any style except for, you know, abstract or contemporary, because I just kicked this way. This is the other thing. And this is what I love to do for the kids when we have open studio, or if I have kids over that want to do something with glass. This I really like too. I'm running out. This is the Monterey Glass, the guy at Monterey Glass that owns Monterey Glass, Joe, is just absolutely amazing. Thank you, Robert. And this is another thing I do for little hostess gifts too, is this guy is so nice over there. I'll go over there and get used shower doors that they're gonna throw out. They put them in the dumpster.
Yeah.
And I go over there and I think you've helped me, Bobby's helped me get them before.
Dumpster diving.
Yeah, I know, dumpster diving. And I get them home, and glass, like I said, glass has to be really clean, so I put them up on sawhorses out in the yard and scrub them down really well. And then I wrap them in a blanket or a sheet, and I take a hammer and, you know, smack the corner of them, and it's tempered glass.
Oh.
So it shatters. It's real, I love it, yeah. And so when it shatters, this is what I get.
So now you don't feel it. Oh,
Cool.
I heard it.
Now remember when I said glass has to be, I've got one, Jane. Yeah.
Okay.
And so when glass has to be the same. So even, I can only put that whole shower door, I have to use that shower door only with that same shower door. If I can't take that shower door and put it in here with that shower door.
Oh my.
Because it's only, you don't know for sure. So, you know, and anyway, so I just, thank you. So, this is a fun thing, and this I did for hostess gifts too, and now, I'm not making a plug for the boutique, I just think this is really cool. But, so, what I do with that is, and this is a ceramic bowl, and these I just get at Stewart Ceramics, because you can use any, it's a bisque.
Oh,
And
okay.
so a lot of the molds that I have. So I take that and I take a stainless steel measuring cup
Mhm.
that's covered in a kiln release thing. And I pour the glass. I'm giving away all my, I do this at the studio tour because I let the kids do it. They like doing this. And I pour and this, you know, this won't cut you, it's all. And I pour that in there, and then I take my stainless steel measuring cup and put it down in there. And I fuse that, this is a totally different schedule too. And I get a candle holder.
Cool.
And I got, so I do, you know.
Oh my.
But aren't they cool? I
They're
love these, and I think they're so pretty, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Even if I do them myself. So,
I absolutely love those.
yeah, I know, I did them for her daughters, for Bobby's daughters,
Yeah.
for the bridesmaids and stuff, yeah.
Oh,
I guess I do
great,
smaller
yeah.
ones too, but yeah,
They're just beautiful.
Well, I wanna see.
I don't know if I've gotten this, sometimes they get little sharp edges and I
Oh, aren't they
file
pretty?
them off. But,
They're lovely.
yeah, they're heavy. So anyway, I think that's,
And you're recycling.
and I'm
And you're
recycling,
recycling.
Repurposing.
but yeah. But I have like huge tubs of this at home because it's I really, you know, it's fun breaking it because a lot of times it doesn't break all the way into the small pieces. So I get my big sledgehammer that I have wrapped in a washcloth and oh, anyway. So I think
Do
that's,
people pay you to come to use your sledgehammer to do that?
I charge.
I could see
Work
that
out
as
a
a
little
stress
anger
reliever.
here.
So, anyway, yeah.
Cool.
One of the nice things about that candle holder is it's heavy enough that the cat can't kick it off the table.
Yeah, there you go.
I bet my cat could. He's pretty tenacious.
And this is covered with I have the release on it, so it doesn't, stuff doesn't stick to it too.
So the stainless cup that you put in the center doesn't melt at the?
No, stainless steel has a really high,
Really?
really high melt. It has to be good stainless steel, you know, like 1830 or whatever.
316.
There you go. I have no math.
That's the nautical use
All right, yeah.
level. 308 is a lesser.
Yeah, it has to be, you know, good stainless steel, and like what I said, what I got there, I got measuring cups that were good measuring cups, and broke the handle off of them, because it was cheaper than buying mold, you know, molds
Yeah.
made for this are ridiculous, and so, you know, just like I said, like the chalk, and I've used, stainless steel pipe, and, you know, copper's pretty much too soft, to do with that. I've used, stainless steel for brake lines.
Why not?
And it's kind of like, you know, yeah, what you can find. I have a fabricator that I had a big job that I did at Sandhill Cove, and I needed those great big molds made for some big waves that I did for them. And I found a metal fabricator in Stewart that did them for me for a great price.
Cool.
So, you know, I just kind of find what I need, and you know, if I can't find it, then I have it made, so,
If you had a soft enough metal, could you fuse metal into the glass?
you can fuse silver leaf
Okay,
and copper leaf
okay.
into it. Copper leaf just turns green and
Yeah,
stuff,
okay,
but as a rule, you cannot put,
in actual,
A-
but you
stuff-
can do the leaf.
in them, yeah.
Ah,
I've done, cremains, ashes,
Mm.
Oh,
a couple, just for people I know.
oh, yeah. I get it.
It's not something that, yeah,
Yeah, you
yeah.
don't advertise. if
Wow,
you
that's a
do.
niche.
Yeah, there is
That
a
would
market
be-
for
it
that
would-
though, yeah,
It's
there's a market,
surprisingly popular.
but,
Yeah.
yeah, oh yeah, it's huge, Google it, it's huge.
Really?
Oh my gosh, yeah,
Really?
but I've done it for people that I know that, you know, put it in a little necklace or something like that, for people that have asked me to do it.
Okay.
Huh.
Mm.
No, I'm sorry, but I'm trying not
Yeah.
to react.
No, but, so I don't know, is there anything, I'm trying to think if there's anything I've missed. Anybody have any questions?
You're a great teacher, Dot. No,
You're
you
very-
really are.
Oh,
You really
Explain
are.
how you did that one, that beautiful piece there.
that one was actually, like I showed you with the curvy, this was, the same type of thing, but all different colors.
And not
And then,
next to each other.
yeah, they have to all be touching.
Mm.
And again, this wasn't full fused. This was, like this piece was full fused, or when you see, like none of these pieces here are full fused. The swizzle sticks are full fused. They're completely together, and if you see it when it's got texture to it, it's not fully fused. It's
Oh.
because if it's fully fused, it'll be flat and totally together, like this. This is fully fused.
Okay.
All right, and but when it's got this is the frit, like I showed you, the coarse frit, and so if I fully fused it, there'd be no texture to it at all. And another thing to look for is these aren't polished, but a way to tell a piece of art from a piece of somebody selling it in a not a flea market, but in a I don't.
A craft
Right.
fair
This,
type thing.
do you see how, it's not shiny because I didn't polish it, do you see how that edge is finished and it's flat? Okay, I have a flat lap grinder, which has got it's a way to finish the edges of glass. Okay, it's like a sander, that everything has to have water to it, right? Because the glass will crack. Okay, so I have a flat lap grinder that's got that will bring the edges to this kind of shine.
Oh, okay.
No matter how thick they are. I mean, I use it on most all my pieces that have a flat edge. I have a wet belt sander, which is a belt sander that has water to it. I have a sandblaster. I have a tile saw. I have, people come over to the house, that's my big joke, and they go, wow, your husband has great tools. You can't use a screwdriver. But, so I have all these tools, and that's what delineates a glass artist, a professional glass artist from someone that plays with fused glass. But see, like this, you can see how it's round. Some things I still do that way, but then you have a flat edge
Yeah.
that's finished.
Yep.
And like I said, this isn't polished,
But
But-
it's finished.
but it's, and I mean, this is a test, this is a piece of, but
Can I
it's,
see?
yeah.
I just
But-
love that. It's so pretty.
I love the Murini. It's
It's
just so
just
time intensive, but I
beautiful.
really
That's
like
really
it.
cool.
It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So,
Can I see that, please?
excuse me.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, it's neat with the Murini. What I really like is that it's different all the way.
Mm-hmm.
When I pull it, like I'll probably get 5 or 6 3-foot-long pieces that have the same pattern.
Uh-huh.
But just the way, the nature of the beast is because it pulls out in a funnel.
Okay.
The pattern is different throughout
Throughout each piece?
Right. No, throughout each, like every 3
Each
pieces,
pull.
it'll be
Okay.
will be
Okay.
the same.
Okay.
But then it changes slightly. And, if you think about it, it's like when the glass comes out of it, it's like emptying a silo.
Okay.
So you've got 40 pieces of glass in there, and I always put like 6 pieces of clear on the bottom. So technically the outside of this, even though you can't really see it, is coated in clear.
Okay.
But if I had put 6 pieces of black on the bottom, this would all be black on the outside.
Okay.
Because the black is, even through to the end, because the black is on the bottom, the black is gonna be on the outside of this.
Okay.
So the real trick when you do that is to figure out the way the colors are gonna fall out of that silo. Do you see what, like whatever's in the middle is gonna be on the top.
Yep.
So it's, I can do that, but I can't do math. But, so yeah, that's neat. That's what's so fun about trying to figure out patterns on this, which is what I really like to do. It's a lot of fun. But, so.
What got you interested in glass?
In general, like what I say in my bio is when I was a kid sitting in church and the stained glass windows, the time of day that we always sat in the same pew at church, and the light would shine through. And I mean, I remember it so clearly, the light shining on my feet, the colored glass, you know, and everything. And we had beautiful stained glass windows in our church, just beautiful, and I just loved that. And I think, you know, just, that's why I do so much in, transparent glass, you know, as opposed to the opaque
Right.
glass. I love the way the light shines through the glass. I love it, and I love these, here is it. I love these kind of attachments for it, when you hang it on a wall, because it holds it, it lets it float off the wall, and so you get nice reflection through it. And like those pieces up there, they're all, and you know, so you know, the sun shines through them and it reflects onto the wall. So, and it's, you know, it's challenging, it's fun, it's always something new. Every time I open up the kiln, I don't know, you know, sometimes I open up the kiln and it's, you know, it's cracked, it's, you know, usually it's not. I'm pretty conservative with how I fire everything, so it usually comes out okay. But I love it, and I have a wonderful studio at home. Very fortunate that over the years it's you know, been built out
How
to
do
be
you
very
attach
nice.
the device to hang it?
It's a special epoxy that is actually stronger than the glass. When this is on here, it takes 3 days to set. When this is on here, the weakest point of the attachment is the wall.
Wow.
Yeah.
Wow.
These are what, you know, what you see in museums and this kind of attachment. Yeah. Yeah, I've dropped pieces, you know, with these attachments on, where the glass, you know, everything's in pieces, but the glass is still attached to where this is, which, yeah, I mean,
Wow.
yeah, the stress tests that they do and the demolition tests they do with these are unbelievable. Yeah, it's not going anywhere. I've got a big piece that I will hopefully get finished in this same style, but it's big, for this next show. It has 2 of these on it, and they're 1.5 inches in diameter. So those are big boys,
Yeah.
you know, and it's more by, the diameter of them goes more by the size than the weight even, so they don't tip, you know, but, that one did not need one that big in diameter, but I, you know, because of where I put it, it has to be on totally flat plane. Like you can't see it here, but because this has ridges in it, right? I put a piece of thin clear glass all the way down the back, just right here, of like this, but it's thin, it's only 2 mm down the back,
Oh.
because you have to have a perfectly flat piece, because there has to be an absence of air for this adhesive to work. So if I did it where there was a little bit of ridges, it's not gonna adhere. So it has to be perfectly flat. So I ran a clear strip all the way down. But if I had done a clear strip all the way down, it would have made it even heavier, so I didn't see any point in doing that. But anyway. So,
Very cool.
So, actually, you can see it in this picture here, because I have to, you know, I have to get T-squares out and everything to get this totally, and you can see the clear strip there,
Oh, yeah,
where I laid it down before I started.
okay.
See it? On that picture.
Mm-hmm. Wow.
Did everybody get one of these, if you want it? You can make your own swizzle sticks with this. Oh, this is another type of glass that, like I said, it comes in so many different shapes and forms. That this is called stringers. It's like spaghetti, and you can do different things with this too. I can actually make this out of that kiln that hangs, but it's one of those things that it's not worth it. It's easier to buy this than to make it. But, you know, it's along the lines of the, you know, the crushed glass and the powder, all different kinds you can get. So, anyway. Yeah, I think that's it, unless anybody has any more questions. No?
Good job.
Thank you so much for coming. Thank you very much for coming. And you better eat those brownies because Barb went to a lot of trouble she's been working on those for 2 days.
And they're so pretty.
Thanks, Dot.
Thank you very much.